And a good evening to you all, and welcome to the stream of the F2 race from the IIRL. Today we're going to have a race at Spain with a full qualifying of 30 minutes, followed by the sprint, directly followed by the sprint race of 13 laps, and then we got a 5-minute break, and then we go have the feature race of 19 laps. Got a pretty nice attendance of 14 drivers. Well, we had a practice session with a few drivers that were quicker than 1:29. Let's see what the practice session brings us with the soft tires. And can IIRL extend his lead in the championship? So who is the first driver who will be out for his outlap? Quiet at the moment. The drivers are putting all their setups in. Who will be the first driver? So we have a full dry session today. Qualifying, the sprint race and the feature race are all dry sessions, so we don't see any issues with wet tires or crossover points. So let's see what we have this session. Still pretty quiet on track, so still have to see the first driver on track. First 3 drivers in the championship, with in first place Ross J, Deflated Wee in second place, and Mr. Wiggles coming in third. Good evening to you all watching. Drivers are not eager to go out, but Mr. Wiggles is the first one to go on track. Let's follow Mr. Wiggles in his outlap. Let's see what he can do on his soft tires. Drivers only got one set of tires for the whole session, so they need to be careful. Probably the track will be quicker later in the session, so let's see what this brings us. Mr. Wiggles in the Trident. Going into the last sector. Setting up his lap. And let's go on into a lap on board for his first time. And let's see what Mr. Wiggles can do. Going into the first right corner, directly followed by the left and a long right hander. Need to lift a little bit, but you cannot put that on full throttle. Then we go right for turn 4. Followed by a very slow turn 6. 5, sorry. Get a tricky chicane. A little bit up to the earth, and then a right-hander to go onto a second straight with the DRS zone. Heading up the corners for the last sector. Slow, very tricky set of corners. Final chicane and on the throttle for the last corner. So what would Mr. Wiggles do? A 127.8. Greg is also on a flying lap, and he puts on a 24.0 in the first sector, which is a purple sector 1. A few drivers are on track now, so we're gonna get a few times in. Greg is going to on middle straight with the DRS, and what can he do in sector 2? He's a little bit slower than Mr. Wiggles in sector 2, but can he make it up in sector 3 with these tricky corners? Very technical. You can win a lot of time, but also you can lose a lot of time. Into this final chicane. Oh, and he almost lost it. What time can he put on the board? Greg is going to put on a 128.6. 8/10 of a second slower than Mr. Wiggles. And the next driver on the lap is Lil Sam, and he's also in the last sector. So let's see what Lil Sam can do. Last corner, on the throttle, and over the line in a 127.7, and it's the quickest of the session. And there are a few drivers on track. And Kyber is the first driver on a lap into the first sector at 24.9. We had Lil Sam with the fastest lap. 127.7, and Kyber invalidated his lap. So we go to see what 1010 is going to do. He's going to into his flying lap, into the first 3 corners. This tricky long right-hander. Puts on a purple sector 1 with 24.6. Then also quick in practice sessions before we have this qualifying. sector, and it's 7:57.9. Also purple sector 2, so this should be a very fast lap. So what can 1010 do? Into this last few corners, like this tricky chicane, get a very nice exit and put it on the throttle. It's still valid, and it puts on at 127.5, which is 0.2 of a second quicker than Sam. We got a few drivers on track with that are on a fast lap. Let's see what deflated we can do. The number 2 in the championship at this moment. Let's see if we can get a very good grid position for the feature race. And he almost lost it in that corner. But can he get a lap in without it validating? Part of the circuit. There are only 4 drivers at the moment that didn't put a lap in and are also in the pit at the moment. And let's see what deflated we can do. And he puts in the 4th time with 127.8. See, Ross invalidated this lap, so we can put in on where Aquarius is going into the last part of his out lap, and Damon is in his flying lap. Let's see if Damon can get a good grip position for the feature race, and he invalidated his lap, so he needs to do another lap. I think Aquarius is going to into the lap. Dr. Edwards, Diego, and Ross J didn't put on a lap time on the board, and it looks like Kyber is pinned out or is standing still on track. So let's see if he can't be any harm for any other drivers. Aquarius is going to onto the straight with his DRS. With a purple sector 2. So let's see what he can do in that final sector. Can he get a 127 in? The driver is getting out of his way, so into the final 3 corners. Very nice exit on the last corner, so let's see what he can put in. And it's a 127.6, and it puts him in 3rd position at this moment, so that's a very nice lap. And we got Damon into the last part of his lap, so let's see what he can do and where he can put his car. It's in 8th position with a 128.6, but becoming in 9th because there is another driver that's a little bit quicker than him. And Diego is also on a flying lap and is starting his flying lap. So let's follow Diego, who hadn't put in another a fast time, so what can Diego do? Drivers are getting nicely out of the way of the other drivers. The Alpine livery. And he's get his DRS quickly activated. He good. And put in a purple sector too. Let's see what it brings him. Diego and Ross J on a fast lap who couldn't in any laps. And Diego puts on a fastest lap, a 1:26.9. That's the fastest lap we have seen today. And who can be any faster than Diego at this moment? Ross J is 1:27.0. Only a tenth slower than Diego, but Diego is the fastest on track at this moment. Dr. Edwards is on an outlap. Only Dr. Edwards, Majestic, and Ghost Domino didn't put any times in. So let's see what they can do. Majestic going out. Ghost Domino is staying in. Track invalidated this lap. Still Sam seems to be out of gas, so that wouldn't be any issue. What is 1010 going to do? I don't think he is on a very fast lap, so at this moment there aren't a lot of drivers putting on fast laps. Is Ross J setting up another lap, or is he going into the pit? He's going into the pit. So Dr. Edwards didn't put on any lap time at this moment. And in the meantime, Majestic is also coming out of the pits. Same is for Deflated Wii and Maridaco. So let's see what they can do. Mr. Wiggles also on a fast lap, it seems. Patch is going into his fast, a little bit up understeer in the last few corners, and what is Dr. Edwards is going to do, and it's a P10 with a 1:27.9, just a tenth of a second quicker than IIRL Greg, and with only Majestic and Ghost Domino without it any time, and Patch put in a fastest first sector. So can he attack the time of Diego, or will it be Diego who is fastest at this moment? Setting up his car for the second. Oh, and he invalidated his lap, so he had to break it off. See how old the tires are from the various drivers. Patches in pit. And we're going into the last 10 minutes of this qualifying session. With a few drivers on track, we've deflated we are championship number 2 in P9. Can he improve his lap time or is he going into the pits? And he invalidated his lap, so let's see if what Ross is going to do. Can he attack Diego for the first place? And Patch is out for another outlap, so let's see if he can get a lap time in. Most drivers had put in 1 or 2 laps on this set of tires with Ross J invalidated, so he can't attack on this lap and he's going into the pits. Darko also got a lot of invalidated laps. I sort of expected that because it's a very technical track, and when you only get a little bit off track, then you invalidate it very quickly. So can Kyber improve his 128.8? I don't believe, and he's going into the pit. So let's see what Patch is going to do on his flying lap. Can he get in a lap this late in the session? With a 126.9 to beat. Into the second sector. And he invalidated this lap again. So let's see if he can get a lap in. Are there any drivers on a lap at this moment? Mr. Wiggles only 0.2 of a second slower than his fastest lap. Can he get that 0.2 of a second back and more? No, he can't. He let it go. So only driver on track. He's going into the pitch again. And Dayman is on his outlap, so let's follow Dayman. Very early in his outlap. Ross J on his outlap and is the first driver to go into his flying lap. Last corner, and let's see if Ross J can attack the time of Diego. What can he do on this set of tires that he put on the lap before? Mr. Wiggles also on a flying lap. Let's follow Ross. Only 0.5 of a second slower than he was before. But can he improve the sector 2? got another driver, and we got a even fuller grid. So at this moment we have 15 drivers who already put in a car. And Ross J coming into the second sector, and let's see what he's a little bit quicker than he was before. So let's see if he can attack the time of Diego. J puts in a second time, 1:27.0. It's very close at the top at this moment, so it should be interesting. Let's hope that the races also be that the races also that close together. Ghost Minnow invalidated his lap before he can put in on his flying lap, and can Patch get in a lap at this moment. That's going into the last sector. This tricky part with the chicane, followed by the last corner, and he invalidated at the last time, and probably invalidated his second lap. So probably Patch, with a little bit of luck, can get a time in, but I don't think so. With only 3 drivers that didn't put in a lap. Airjax is on his outlap at this moment, and Ghost Minnow is going into his flying lap, and luckily he didn't invalidate it on that last corner. One, 25.1 in his. Oh, and he almost lost it over there. Into this low corner, followed by this tricky uphill chicane, where you can lose a lot of time, but also can gain a lot of time. To the second DRS zone, lining up for this very slow left forehander, and almost lost it again, but keeps it on track and keeps it valid. This tricky downhill right corner with this downhill chicane, followed by the last right hand corner. Tomino puts on a 1:30.5 and puts him in 14th and the slowest of this session at this moment. So with only 10 seconds to go, we got only a few drivers on track. Russ J is too late to complete his lap, and Ripley is in 10th and invalidated. Aquarius is in pit. Deflated wheel. He's at almost a tenth of a second quicker than he was, and he lost it. Oh, and he crashed. Deflated wheel cannot improve his time, but Dr. Edwards, what can he do? He's already on his lap into this second DRS zone. DRS activated, and he's 3/10 of a second slower than he was before. And goes to Mino. I think he is out of fuel. So we got this session, I think, completed with Diego on pole position. Ross J, our championship leader, in P2. Mr. Wiggles in P3. Mari Daco in P4. Ripley P5. 1010 P6. Aquarius P7. P8 is for Lil Sam. P9 IIRL Greg. P2 in the championship, Deflated V qualified in P10. P11 is for Dr. Edward and P12 Dayman. Kyber in P13 goes to Mino, gets in a lap and puts himself in P14. Patch P15 and Rjax in P16. So that's our qualifying session with the grid for the feature race. When this session is complete, we are straight into the sprint race, because after the sprint race we have a 5-minute break. In the sprint race we will have a reverse grid, not of all drivers, but I think the first 10 drivers. So we have it over here. Diego puts it in pole position. Ross J second. Mr. Wiggles P3. Maridaco P4. Ripley P5. 1010 P6. Aquarius P7. Lil Sam P8. Greg P9. Deflated Week P10. Dr. Edwards P11. P12 Dayman. P13 Kyber. P14 Ghost Mino. P15 Majestic. And P16 Airjacks. So let's see what the sprint race brings us. This was a very interesting qualifying with first 10 drivers, first 12 drivers within a second of each other. So it should be a very interesting race. Let's see which driver is most efficient with the tires. Everybody who watching, thank you for watching. Wish you a very nice sprint race. And we got a formation lap on the way. And as I said, we have a reverse grid for the sprint race with the first 10 drivers in reverse position. So, Deflated We, our championship contender on the second place in the championship, is on pole position for the sprint race, followed by IIRL Greg. Lil Samp is in third position, followed by Aquarius in fourth, 1010 in fifth, Ripley P6, Maridako P7, Mr. Wiggles in P8, P9 for Ross J, Diego, our pole position driver for the feature race, is in P10, Dr. Edwards P11, P12 Dayman, Kuiper P13, Ghost Mino P14, Majestic P15, and P16 we got Ajax. Wish all the drivers good luck in this race, and all of us watching a lot of fun. We got two drivers disqualified during this warm-up lap, Aquarius and Lil Sam. I don't know what happened over there, but they already are lining up on the grid. So this should be very exciting. Before we start, let's see which camera we can have the best for the grid positions. All drivers are lining up into their grid positions. When all drivers are checked in, we're going to, the lights are on and we go, and we're on the way, and it's a very fast start from Deflated We, and Aquarius have a very bad start, so let's see what is happening on the field. And it's tag from Greg, but Deflated We keeps its position, and Greg is fighting for his position. And let's see when the field settles which fights we have on our hands. So Deflated We is have a little bit of leanway through Greg with already 0.8 of a second head start. So Deflated We has a really good start. Ripley and Samp are fighting, and Ripley has a really good start with 2 position gain from the start. And Dr. Edward, no, Ajax seems to have the greatest start with 4 position gain. Damon already retired from session. Seems to me that he, with Majestic already pitting, looks like there is some problems at the backfield that I didn't see. Sorry for that. But we have a fight with on our hand with Maridako, Ripley and Lil Sam fighting for third position. In the field there are already a few fights, but I cannot follow every fight, and this is the fight for the podium. So let's see what this brings us with Maridako in the gearbox of Ripley. Takes a look, but he cannot attack. And Roche going through the field with already 3 positions gained from the start. Airtex is putting on a real clinic with already 6 positions gained, and who is falling back. 1010 has spinned. And Ross J is putting on a fast lap. So there are Ripley is in 3rd position. Can he get the stick? It's a real fight. He has a real fight in his hand with Maridako. Maridako hasn't given up. Would it be a Rosberg Hamilton at this point? But they keep each other alive. And 2 drivers behind them are taking on. And can Ross get in front of them? Ross, Mr. Wiggles, all drivers in the feature race on great positions. Can they get a great position on this race? With deflated wheel putting on a real gap on the 2nd place IIRL Greg, followed by a little gap to Ripley, followed by Lil Sam on 7/10 of a second, who is followed by Ross on 4/10 of a second. And deflated wheel is putting on the fastest lap of the race with a 1:30 point, but Diego is even faster with 1:30.3, and we have an attack. Ross J is on. Oh, did he leave enough space? But he puts through. And he is on 4th position with 5 position 1 from the start. And we have a yellow flag in sector 1. It seems to be Aquarius who spins out. What a shame. Such a good position on the start. And we have Lil Sam that spins out on the in the 2nd sector. And the field is stretching out a little bit, so there are a few fights with this fight for, it seems to be 5th position between Maridako, Mr. Wiggles and Diego. Diego was very fast in the qualifying. Roche, of course, our championship leader, gaining on the podium. So, and we got Ripley, who is on 2nd place and is in the fight with Greg. Of course, DRS is activated. And we got our first penalty, a 5-second penalty for Lil Sam for speeding in the pit lane. Lil Sam falls back to P13. But we have a really big fight on our hands on this. Greg, can Greg hold his position? Or will he have to? That's Ross going. So can Ross get him on the DRS? And Majestic is putting on the fastest lap of the race with a 1:30.0 in the backfield. Oh, and this is very close. And will it be clean? and he's in front of him. Ross is on the podium. What a race! What a race from Ross! On this very tricky track, there are very few penalties at this moment, but we are only 6 laps into this race, with Ripley putting on a 129.7, and we have a yellow flag in sector 3, and is that? Seems to me like Ghostamino is off track and is deflated. We still in front of the race with almost a 2-second gap to Ripley, who has the same gap to Ross, and Ross has a second gap to Greg, who is in a fight with Maridaco and Mr. Wiggles, but also Diego is into this fight. Oh, and almost 3 wide, and is it Diego that's on the... Oh, and Dr. Edwards spins out. Or is it Diego? It's so hard to follow sometimes. And Ripley has a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings. So probably he is off track and then for the third time and then get the penalty. We have this fight on our hands with Mr. Wiggles, Maridaco, and Diego had spun out at the last lap. Looks like the only fight that is happening at this moment on track. So can Maridaco get close to Greg to make the move, or will Greg defend enough to keep his position? Can Mr. Wiggles a little bit of help of it? And Lilson puts on the fastest lap of the race at this moment in the backfield, hoping for a safety car, but I don't think that's gonna happen. And Mr. Wiggles is going a little bit wide, but Maridaco keeps his car on track and being attacked by Mr. Wiggles. Mr. Wiggles attack him in the next sector, with both cars getting DRS, and Greg is the front of those 3 cars. Now it seems to me that all the 3 cars are staying in position. No, Maridaco is getting a move on and it's going into the side, and can he make it stick? And he can, and he is in front of Greg. Mr. Wiggles in the gearbox of Greg. Can Mr. Wiggles get a move on Greg? Also, and Mr. Wiggles is on the inside. Mr. Wiggles is on the inside of Greg, and can Mr. Wiggles get in front of Greg? And he is in front. And what a fight is this for 4th position with Maridaco, Mr. Wiggles and Greg. And in the meantime, Ripley is gaining on the deflated wheel. So in the meantime, we're getting more fights on track, so we got a fight on our hands for the first position between Ross, Ripley and deflated wheel. Slowly they are gaining on each other, and after the podium there's a very big gap to the next fight, and Mr. Wiggles is out of the race. What happened to Mr. Wiggles? And we got a safety car. And what would it mean for the strategies? Will cars be staying out, or will some cars go in for a new set of tires? So we got a safety car at our hand. So the whole field will come together, and let's see if there are cars are going in. Yes, 1010 is going into it in the pit for a set of soft tires. I thought I saw. Let's see. And he is in for a set of soft tires. So 1010 it would be very quick at the restart with only a few laps to go. So let's see what he can do. Maridago gets a penalty for multiple warnings at this moment. So at this moment we have 4 drivers on a soft tire, and the rest of our drivers on the tire that they started, the hard tire. And Patch is going into the pit, and then I think that he would go to the soft tire. Let's see if he can get out of the pit in front of the field so he won't be a lap down. The field is settling in. He would be in front of the field because he's now overhauling the safety car, and Deflated Wheel is coming up to the safety car, who is on the exit of this corner and who is picking up speed at this moment. So the field is coming together, and let's see how many laps of safety car do we have before he will go. And let's see if we can get a real fight on our hands at this last few laps of this race. Can some drivers be very surprising at this last few laps that we have? We got our race leader, Deflated Wheel. Mr. Ripley in second with a 3-second penalty. Rosje without a penalty in P3. Maridago has also a 3-second penalty, he's in P4. Into the last sector, so we have another lap of safety car. And it could be a very interesting last 2 laps, probably. Because I don't think that, probably next lap it will be going in. If Patch can get connected to the field at this moment. So we have 4 drivers on the soft tire. Airjax, 1010, Kyber and Lil Sam. With Lil Sam with the oldest tires with 4 laps old. But those guys have a real tire advantage with the guys in front of them, because the guys in front of them didn't pit and already have 10 old hard tires on their cars. Furthest away of the field is Majestic with almost 30 seconds. So let's see if the safety car is coming in this lap, or we have another lap after the behind the safety car, and the safety car is coming in this lap. So let's see what Deflated Wee is going to do, or is Mr. Ripley going away with it, or can Ross J take the victory at the sprint race? So it's very interesting what this last few laps is going to bring us. With Deflated Wee giving the pace, warming up his tires. Oh, and Ripley spins off before the restart, and whoa, that's a game changer. And Ross J, Deflated Wee has a gap to Ross J, and whoa, what a shame. And so we got a real upset. Ripley has spin out and going into the pit and lost his race. Lost his pole in this race. What a shame. And in the backfield we see that the soft tires are really doing it. So this is going to be a very hectic last few laps of this race. So sorry if I cannot let us see everything. I'm mainly focused on the podium because Ross J, Maridaco and Deflated Wee are fighting for it. They're all within 2 seconds of each other. Can Deflated Wee take this victory in this sprint race with going into the last sector of this penultimate lap with only 4/10 of a second lead in front of Ross? So the championship is really heating up over here. Maridaco going a little bit wide in the second to last corner, and Ross J is on the tail of Deflated Wee. Can Ross J make a move on the outside? He's taking a look and takes the turn back, and Deflated Wee defends with Aquarius getting a time penalty at this moment. But Deflated Wee and Ross J are really in a fight. Can Ross J take P1, or can Deflated Wee take the victory? Maridaco is gaining also, but it's going to be Ross J or Deflated Wee. What is going to be 10-10 is getting a penalty also. It's raining down penalties at this moment. And Deflated Wee is defending his position in front of Ross J. Can Ross getting side of him into this last corners? Get one move in, or is it Deflated Wee that will take home the win? And we got a yellow flag in sector 3 for 10-10 it seems, but it's going to be Deflated Wee into this last, who takes the win in front of Ross J. Before Diego, IIRL Greg in P4, P5 for Maridaco, Dr. Edwards in P6, P7 for Ajax, P8 for Kyber, P9 for Aquarius, Lil Sam comes in P10, P11 for Majestic, 10-10 comes in P12, Ripley P13, into the last part of the track, Mr. Wiggles comes in P14, P15 for Ghost Mino, and in last place P16 for Dayman. That is the finishing of the sprint race. very exciting first race. And this is our podium. So here we have it. Deflated wing P1, Ross J in P2, Diego P3, IIRL Greg P4, Maridaco P5, Dr. Edward P6, P7 for Airjack, P8 Kyber, P9 Aquarius, P10 Lil Sam, P11 Majestic, 1010 Ripley, Mr. Wiggles, Ghost Amino and Dayman. So that was our sprint race. That was very exciting. So now we have a 5-minute break. So I think that we are going to be going. So we make ourselves up for the feature race. And we have a 30-second timer going before we go get started with our formation lap for the feature race. And we're on. So for the feature race, we got Diego on pole position. Diego on pole position, followed by our second place for the sprint race, Rosje. P3 is for Mr. Wiggles. Let's see what he can do in the feature race. Maidago in P4, P5 for Ripley. Let's see if he can get in a better result than the sprint race. 1010 comes in P6. Aquarius P7. Lil Sam in P8. P9 for Greg. Deflated We, our race winner from the sprint race, is in P10. P11 is for Dr. Edward. P12 is for Damon, followed in P13 by Tiger. P14 goes to Mino. P15 Majestic, and in last place we got Airjax. Let's see what this feature racing would bring us. Let's hope for a lot of excitement and a lot of fights, so we can enjoy ourselves on this Saturday evening. Race of 19 laps. Thought that all drivers are starting on the... No, Greg is starting on the hard tires, with all other drivers starting on the soft tires. So it should be interesting that Greg could be very long on track and is very quick in the last part of the race. All drivers are lining up. Let's see who has the best start of this feature race. With the drivers are off, and it seems to be that all 4 drivers on the front rows are very quick, and Diego has gained a few tenths of a second in front, and all drivers, and we got a first spin of our race, and it seems to be Ghost Mino that lost a lot of positions, and Damon and Aquarius are in the backside, so probably maybe they had contact, but I didn't see. Rush for the first 4 drivers didn't lose any positions and stayed in position. All the drivers seems to be following, and we have an attack from Ripley, and Ripley got spun out. Was he too optimistic to make that move? Ripley is in P10 and we follow Majestic, but he has a little bit of gap in front of him to Dr. Edward. With Diego put on the fastest lap of the race, of course, because it's the first lap and he's leading the pack. And 1010 and Greg are already into the pit at this moment. So would they go to the hard tire for the remainder of the race, or what other tires do we have? Ross J is gaining on Diego, so can Ross make the move? And we have a yellow flag in sector 2. We got a lot of happening in the beginning of this race. I'm staying with this fight in front of this race. When can Ross get close enough by to make the move on the straight? He's lining him up in this final sector, but can Diego get enough of a gap to defend his position? With 0.6 of a second in front of Ross, putting on the fastest lap of the race in a 1:28.9 with DRS enabled this lap. And we got 1010 retired from the session and we got a virtual safety car. So all drivers have to remain within the delta until the problem has been resolved on track. And then is our first DNF of the session. And we're off again. So it seems to me that Ross hasn't been sleeping and is close enough by. Don't see any penalties for cars that are exceeding the safety car limit. We got a fight on our hand for the first position. Track that it's very hard to overtake, and Mr. Wiggles get a 3-second penalty. Can Ross make a move on the end of the straight, or will he wait another lap, or will he wait for the second DRS zone? There are not very much opportunities to make the move on this track. And he's going even faster than he was before. Let's have a look over here, because we have a fight with 3 cars between Airjax, Edward and Deflated Wii. Just as I expected, there are not a lot of opportunities to overtake on this track. It seems that Ross J is also settling in on his second place. Real fight that we have is Dr. Edward with probably he probably can make a move on Deflated Wii. So let's see what he can do with DRS. and Dr. Edwards spins out, and Ghost Mino is in the pit. Same seems. So we got Greg on a new set of soft tires, so he should make another stop because he cannot make it to the end on this set of tires. Aquarius on his new set of hard tires. So what's happening in front of the race at this moment? We got Diego still in front, followed by Ross. Followed on 2.5 seconds by Mr. Wiggles, who has a second gap to Maridaco, who already has a 6.5 second gap, and we have a pit stop by Mr. Wiggles. The wheel is coming into the pit, so we are in the pit window of the soft tires. So this should be interesting for the race lead. Can Rostier overtake or make enough improvement on Diego to make a move? Or can Diego keep his first position in front of Ross? Plated Wee is coming. He's still in the pit on P9. Ross is gaining a lot of time in that corner. What can he do? Are they both coming in, or is there... And Kyver seems to have lost control of his car in the first sector. And Maridako is coming into the pit, so the first two drivers have not that much tire degradation like the cars behind them. So let's see how much laps Ross and Diego can put on this soft set before they have to change tires, because in the feature race they have they have to make a pit stop. So when they started on the soft tires, they have to make a pit stop onto the hard tires, because the tire regulation. And the first driver that is going to get lapped, it seems to be Damon. He's in front of Diego and Ross. But are Diego and Ross coming into the pit at this moment, or will they go through another lap? With Kyver into the pit, and it seems that Ross is making a pit stop, and Diego is going through, and we have a yellow flag in sector 2 and 3. Both yellow flags are gone, so no DNFs. And we got Rostier and Dr. Edwards in the pit at this moment. And Ghostamino has retired from the session, so I believe that Ghostamino has crashed out into the second sector. So we have two drivers in front, Diego and Majestic, with both drivers on the set tires that they started the race. They're 7-lap-old tires, followed by Ross and probably Ross is a little bit quicker than Ghost Minnow. So let's see. Yes, Ghost Diego has now a 32-second gap to Ross. That could be interesting. With Diego coming into the pit, so has Ross done enough of outlap to make it to the front, or does the undercut does the undercut stick? Patch is going around another lap, so Patch is going through a really long stint, and Diego is coming in front of Roger on the track again. So we don't have a position change, and the undercut didn't stick, and we have another driver that left the session. At the moment we have 13 drivers still on track. With the closest fight going on to Mr. Wiggles and Maridaco, with Mr. Wiggles on the backside of Maridaco. Both drivers have penalties, so this is for position. Damon is into the pit. And he retired into the pit, so at the moment we only have 12 drivers left. And Patch is also into the pit at the moment and lost position to Diego, probably to Ross also, yes. And Patch is on. And there aren't no real fights, or what is happening over here? Oh, this is a real fight with Mr. Wiggles in the inside defending for Maridaco and gives Maridaco enough space. Still on the inside, and Maridaco has lost the position to Mr. Wiggles, who was in a third place. Maridaco in the DRS zone. Can he get close by to make the move on the first DRS zone on the start-finish straight? Or did he lost the position to Mr. Wiggles, and is Mr. Wiggles just a bit quicker? It seems to me that Mr. Wiggles is going to put on a gap, but he's still in DRS zone, so let's see what Maridaco can do. Can he get close enough by, or can Mr. Wiggles defend his position coming into turn 1? And Maridaco looks a bit, but he don't make the move stick. At the moment Diego is driving a very good race. We're still in first position with a 3.5 second gap to Ross J. Followed by a 6-second gap from Mr. Wiggles, and Airjax retired, left the session, but he's still driving, so didn't know what that happened. Drivers are having their own gaps and no real fights at the moment. But we have a yellow flag. I believe it's for Greg, who probably spent out, and Maridago. Can he get? Oh, and can he get on the inside? And no, he can't get through. But he's so close by Mr. Wiggles. And Ajax has joined again, so hopefully that was a short disconnection and he is back on track. Only 7 laps to go. And I lost the timing, so I don't see what's really going on between the cars, so sorry for that. And the minimap seems to be the only fight on track at the moment. Maridaco loses a little bit of time to Mr. Wiggles, but he still has DRS. And he's gaining, but he's not gaining enough. He can only get by and not get in front of him. And we see Ajax is into a fight with deflated wheel. Ripley has a 3-second penalty. Still, Maridaco and Mr. Wiggles are into a fight, and it seems to me that Mr. Wiggles can get enough of a gap in the last sector, which means that he can defend his position on the start-finish straight. So let's see if he can do this again with Maridaco only on almost a second of a gap behind him, with getting another penalty. Ajax do. Dr. Edward gets a penalty. So there are at this moment 5 drivers with a penalty. Sorry, 6 drivers with a penalty, with Ross getting also a penalty. So Diego is getting even comfier in this first position, but it ain't over until the fat lady sings, they say. There are enough drivers with penalties at this moment. So that could be interesting at the end of the race for the classifications. All drivers have stopped one time for a new set of tires. If we look at the driver that gained the most positions from the start, that is Airjax, and Dr. Edward is in the pit. So, did he have damage, or is he going to try to get a set of soft tires and to get the fastest lap? So, I don't know. Let's see what that brings him. At this moment, he's still in the top 10 and gets still a point. Drivers that are interesting to follow is only this fight, and this is the fight between Deflated Wii and Airjax, followed by Majestic, and that are also the three drivers that gained most positions from the start, with Airjax gained 9 positions and Patch gained 7 positions from the start. And we have a yellow flag in sector 2. It seems to me that Lil Samp has come off. Ajax get a penalty, so Ajax can he get inside and make the move stick? Oh, they don't touch, but it's wheel on wheel, and Ajax is in front of Deflated Wii, but I'm mistaken. Sorry. Ajax is in front of Deflated Wii, but Deflated Wii is attacking back. And it's a... Oh, did they touch? In the meanwhile, we see in front of us that Maridako is gained on Mr. Wiggles. Can Maridako make a move for the podium? There's still the fight going on between Deflated Wii and Airjax. Majestic already has find a connection to those two, so this is a three-way fight between Deflated Wii, Ajax, and Majestic. Oh, and Ajax crashed out on sector 3, so the fight is between Majestic and Deflated Wii. And Mr. Wiggles and Maridako are fighting it out. So at the end of this race, the race is getting really interesting with all those fights happening. With this the closest fight in the fight for the podium between Mr. Wiggles and Maridako. Maridako in the gearbox of Mr. Wiggles into the DRS zone. Can he make a move and will he put a car on the inside? No, he's going to wait, I think, for the start-finish straight. So will he get close enough by to make the move stick? In the meanwhile, in the background there are still fights going on and positioning change, but because this is for the podium, stick with this fight with only 2 laps to go. Can Maridako make a move on Mr. Wiggles, or is Mr. Wiggles safe for the podium? And Maridako gets another penalty, so I believe the penalties will make a real difference in the standings at the end of this race, so the fight is on track, but the real fight seems to be lost at the penalties. So let's follow our race leader for the last few laps. So because he really deserved it. Drives a very nice race, very clean. Waited long enough to make the pit stop, and when Ross puts in a fastest lap of the race with a 1:28.8. But I think it's too late because Diego seems to me that he's quick enough to make this final lap. Into the second DRS zone. Cars are getting out of the way. The blue flags and whoa! And Diego almost lost it in the last few corners. And Aquarius is disqualified from the session. Use required. That was a strange disqualification. So the race winner, Diego wins the race in front of Ross J. Mr. Wiggles coming in third. Maridaco P4. Ripley with an 8-second penalty. Looks like he would be in front of Deflated Wee. Deflated Wee comes in P6. P7 is for Majestic. P8 is for Dr. Edwards. P9. Dr. Edwards, yeah, let's see. Into the last corners. We have only 11 cars to finish this race, with Dr. Edwards coming in P8. P9 would be for Lil Samp. IIRL Greg is in a fight with Airjax, but Airjax has more penalties, so Greg should be safe for his position, for his only point, for the last point of this race. So we have P11 Greg and P11 Airjax and P10 Greg. So that was our feature race. It was very exciting with this F2 race, with Diego winning this race in front of Ross J, who is still our championship leader. So, at the end of the race, we have Diego in first position, second Ross, P3 Mr. Wiggles, P4 Maridaco, P5 Ripley, P6 Deflated Wii, P7 Majestic, P8 Dr. Abbott, Lil Sam comes in P9, and the top 10 is closed by IIRL Greg. In P11 we have Airjacks, P12 Dayman, P12 goes to Mino, P14 we got Kyber with the DNF, 1010 comes in P15, and in last place with a disqualification in P16 Aquarius. So that would be this for the Formula 2 race. I hope you enjoyed this race, and we'll all see you tomorrow with the 82 race in the Formula 1, with the last race of this league in Spain. Again, thank you for all for watching. I wish you a very nice Saturday evening, and see you the next one.